Welcome to Circle Back to You podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. Our guest today is Kellie Rhymes. Kellie is a dynamic force in the realm of women's hair loss support and empowerment, serving as the CEO of Limitless Mindset Coaching. Hailing from St. Louis, Missouri, Kellie has made a name for herself as a women's hair loss support and authenticity coach, dedicated to helping women reclaim their confidence. Welcome, everybody, to Circle Back to You podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. Today, my guest is Kellie Rhymes of Limitless Mindset Coaching. Welcome to the show, Kellie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jason, for inviting me to your show.
Well, I had to do it because you have a phenomenal story. And you were recently here in Columbia, where I'm at, so we got to talk about that. But before we get started, tell us some background information about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and my background was in real estate investing. So I did that as well as I was working in corporate America. And basically, I'm an avid traveler, so I love to travel the world. I love international travel. And I actually switched from the real estate investing space as far as coaching, because I was coaching in that space, to what I do now, which is women's hair loss support. And that is due to my own journey with hair loss and getting through that situation. And really, I'm still going through it, but I'm on the other side of it, of acceptance, and just basically supporting women and knowing or letting them know that they're okay and they can make it through emotionally. So any emotional challenges that women face due to their hair loss, which there are a lot, I'm here to support them through that because of my own journey, and help them get to where I am now, which is, accepting my hair loss, living life, thriving, and being happy again.
I think it's absolutely wonderful what you do. But when did your journey with your hair loss start?
It actually started in my late 20s. So I had locks, and my stylist noticed a small, like, bald spot at the top of my head. And so we thought we would just monitor it for a while, but it just kept getting larger and larger and spreading. And eventually, my hair just kept coming out, getting thinner and thinner. And I found out that I have scarring alopecia. For people who don't know, alopecia, that word just means hair loss. But within alopecia, you have different types of hair loss. So the type of hair loss that I have is scarring alopecia. And then the form of scarring alopecia that I have is the acronym is CCCA. I'm just going to say the acronym because that makes it easy. That long medical term, but that's the type of alopecia that I have, or scarring alopecia that I have.
Okay, so it started out as something that you went through in college, but then what gave you the idea to start helping women with that condition as well? Up until a couple of years ago?
Well, yeah. So basically, I struggled emotionally with my own hair loss for over probably about 18 years. And I did not really share it with too many people. And I wore a great disguise. I have my smile. So, as soon as I smile, everybody thinks everything is okay, which I'm sure that's most people. But that was my disguise. And I went through a lot of anger, frustration, denial, sadness, a lot of different emotions over that time span, until I got to the place to where I was like, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of having anxiety every time I walk out the door because I'm worried about what I look like. And I was just like, you know what? I know my hair is not coming back. So let me just stop. Let me figure out what I want to do for myself long term that's going to make me happy, so that I can thrive in life and move forward. So, because of that journey and everything that I went through, that's what made me go ahead and make the decision. Now, was that decision easy to make as far as me switching over to the hair loss space from the real estate investing space? No, it was not. Because I did not want to share my story and like really put it out there. So there was a little voice in my head for a very long time. I would say several years, that was telling me, hey, you need to talk about your hair loss. You need to, do this. And I kept saying, no, I don't want to do it, just pushing it away. But eventually I accepted what I was hearing. And then that's when I jumped in and started supporting women with their hair loss journey.
That's great. So, along this journey, then, I mean, have you found that there are so many women dealing with alopecia?
Oh yes, yes. Just by me getting into this and doing more research and talking to other women and just learning more, there are millions of women around the world
Wow.
experiencing some form of hair loss. It doesn't have to be the same thing that I have, but some form. It could be due to postpartum. It could be hormones, nutrition, stress. Like it's a lot of different things that will cause hair loss. And actually, you probably know a woman who's experiencing hair loss, but they're covering it up. And you would never know because they're not going to talk about it unless they, are comfortable with it. But most women are not. So you probably know a woman who is disguising it and they're walking around with hair loss and you just don't know it.
Yeah, and learning from your show, which you host on a weekly basis about alopecia, I've learned quite a bit about it. So, one of the things that was really surprising to me is that women with menopause deal with alopecia.
Oh, yes. Yes. So when you go through menopause, or when women go through menopause, but men go through menopause too, and I learned about that.
Yeah.
But going through menopause, that's when your hormones changed. Everything shifts, and that will cause hair loss. And that's pretty normal. You'll start seeing your hair may start getting thinner, start shedding a little bit more. So, yes, in menopause, that is definitely something that's very common.
Okay. So, how's your coaching practice going?
It's going pretty well. I'm still growing it. So I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, I have so many clients. I can't take any more because I can definitely take more.
Okay.
But it's going well. I am happy where I am. I'm doing the coaching as far as one-on-one with women with hair loss, as well as doing speaking engagements and things like that for advocacy groups. So last weekend, I was actually in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was speaking at the Scarring Alopecia Foundation conference. And I spoke to the patients just because I can relate to them, and it went over very, very well. So doing a lot of that. I want to do more speaking engagements. Of course, as you mentioned, I have the podcast, the Bougie Baldie podcast. So that's another way that I get information out, constantly posting on social media. And I am starting a TV show, which will also provide information as far as women's health issues and solutions that could help them.
Well, to me, this is like a 180-degree change for the Kelly that I knew last November. And up until now, I mean, you had, as well as I, a fear of public speaking, but now, you're hosting your own podcast show, you're going to host a TV show, and doing wonderful things out there. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say hello to a couple of friends we have in the audience here.
Okay.
So, hey, Blessing, how you doing? And I know you know the next one, Lisa.
Yes. Hi, Lisa.
All right, so I think this is a good point in the show to take a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey guys, Mike Hollis here, former NFL kicker of 9 years and All Pro. I just want to give a shout out to Jason Wilson for all that he's done for me and my podcast, Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. It's my very first podcast, so I had no experience whatsoever. Jason does everything for me. A few things at the beginning for setting up, but other than that, it's been a very seamless process from that day moving forward. And I got to tell you, he's on spot every Monday night at 5:30 when we do our podcast. An incredible producer. He's made all the intro clips and anything that I need for the podcast. And so I just want to thank him for everything that he's done, and highly recommend using Jason for your future podcast. Thanks a lot.
All right. So, that whole world of podcasting, I know is a scary thing, when you're getting started out. How has that whole process for you been?
Well, you know what? At the beginning, I thought that it was going to be overwhelming. But with your help, just like the gentleman just mentioned, it has been much easier than I thought. My focus is just really on recording, making sure I get the guest or have the topics I want to speak about, making sure the recording is done. And once that is done and I have a description, I hand it off to you and you take care of the rest. So it's been a breeze.
Well, I gotta say, you make my job easy too. I mean, every week you have the episode ready, the guests ready, the description of the show ready. So, I mean, it makes my job much, much easier. So, thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome. And you know what? I appreciate you doing all of the artwork because I am not a creative person. So I am so happy I don't have to worry about thumbnails and, any of that stuff.
Awesome. All right, so I want to switch gears here and talk about something that we had a short conversation about last year as well, back in November. You told me that you were looking at leaving St. Louis with your family
Mhm.
and possibly relocating to Ecuador.
Yes.
So let's go back there. Why did you choose Ecuador in the beginning?
Well, we were doing some research and we, of course, liked Ecuador because of the cost of living. We also like the climate. We were looking at Cuenca, Ecuador. So it was a nice climate, not too hot, not too cold. It was safe. The cost of living was decent, and you can have a great quality of life. So we were looking at that, and then I learned about Colombia. Now I had been to Colombia before. I had been to Cartagena, but on vacation. But I didn't think about Colombia as a place to move to because just like probably the rest of people that think of Colombia, we automatically think of Pablo Escobar, right? The cartels and things like that, which we know there are cartels in other places as well. But we think of that first and how dangerous it was back in the 90s. And we really haven't heard much about it since. So that's what's stuck in people's heads. And then, of course, you have the Netflix movie and everything that comes out that pretty much keeps that in the forefront of people's minds as far as what happened in the past. But then I talked to you and you're in Colombia and I was, kind of telling you I need to kind of scout out some places and you recommended me go on a tour to Medellin, Colombia. So I actually went on that tour last month and I liked it. I liked Medellin. I liked Colombia. I thought that it would be a great place. Definitely liked the weather. The people were very, very nice. So I'm like, okay, I think we're gonna change it. So we pivoted from going to Ecuador. Now the one strong reason that made us change our mind is because it was too hard to access the city. Like we would have to go through different airports that are further away. It just wasn't as accessible as we needed it to be. Versus Medellin, they have an international airport. It's easy to come in and out. We can get direct flights to the States. So we thought it would be better if we moved to a city that had a good international airport, as well as all of the other things that I mentioned that we were looking for.
Yeah, I got to chime in on this. Okay, so yes, I didn't have access to all that information that exists now. So, when I was looking at coming here at the end of 2002,
Mhm.
just like you said, the only thing that was on the internet at that time was cartels, bombings, kidnappings, all
Right.
the negative stuff. And so, when I got here, I found out that it was completely different from what they were talking about on the internet. And I'm
Mhm.
sure you saw that too when you went to Medellin.
Yes.
Yeah. So, a shout out to RJ Mood.
Yes.
Yes, our friend from Mood Travel. Uh, I set you up with him because I thought that, that would be a great connection to help you get all the extra information that you might need as
Yes.
far as, neighborhoods that you could go to that are safe, schooling for your kids, and, all the other information. Tell us more about the tour.
Okay, sure. So the tour was really the best thing I could have done. I knew I needed to go on a relocation tour to wherever I wanted to go, right? Whether that was going to be Ecuador, whether it was Mexico, wherever we were thinking about, I knew we had to go check it out. But this particular relocation tour provided all of the necessary information that I needed. As you mentioned, we were able to look at neighborhoods and get a feel for what different neighborhoods look like, and the buildings, the different apartments, the green spaces in the neighborhood. So just kind of really get a feel for that. I was able to speak and meet with attorneys, immigration attorneys, so we could figure out the visa and what our options are. Other families that live in Medellin, because that was important to me. I'm coming with kids, so I did not know like the school situation. How do we get them enrolled? What activities there are for the kids? I just wanted to make sure that if we're relocating, that the kids would be very comfortable. I know it's going to be an adjustment for everyone, but I want to try to soften that blow. So really speaking to the families that are there helped as well. We went to also an assistant, so someone who can assist with tasks. So since we don't speak Spanish fluently, there's someone who can help us run errands, find out information, just do little things that we may need help with initially until we get comfortable and acclimated to the country. We also were able to connect with the Afro-Colombian community. That was really good and really important. I learned about some volunteer opportunities, which is good as well because I do like to volunteer, and I haven't been able to do that here in the States because I'm so busy. So it's been a while since I've been able to volunteer, but now I know going there, I can plug right into a organization that is out there doing outreach and work in the community. So I'm very excited about that as well. And let me mention the chicken because I know you saw that picture. We ate some amazing food. I'm not going to say all of the food in Colombia is great, but when you know where to go, it's good, right? And this one particular place, this was actually a fast food restaurant. And our tour guide, RJ, he was like, "You guys, you want some chicken?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try it out fine." And when I say that was some of the best fried chicken I ever had from a fast food place. And I'm not a big fast food person, but that chicken was something different. So yeah, it was a great experience. Just understanding how to move around the city, what you should do, should not do, just learning the ins and outs. It was just important. It was well worth the trip. It was well worth the money, all of the things, because it helped us make a better decision and be confident in our decision to say, you know what, yeah, let's just go here. And if it's something where we don't like it over time or something changes, we can always go somewhere else. So we're not stuck. And that's the thing I have to make sure people realize and think about is like, you're not stuck if you leave the country. You can just come back to the States, or you can go to another country. You can go to another city. You can move around. So it's not just this permanent situation.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I got to tell you, I love Medellin, and I had gone there several times to do my speed dating events.
Mhm.
So I was familiar with Medellin, but like you said, with the relocation tour, RJ gives you a lot more insight into the city and other places that you can go to. So I just went to Poblado for the most part. I didn't really know know too many other spots that I could go to. And like you said as well, you don't necessarily have to be stuck or stay in Medellin.
Mhm.
There's plenty of other cities that you can go to, visit, and possibly relocate to as well. So my question to you is, after you took this tour, would you recommend moving to Colombia for somebody else that you know in the States?
I would recommend it, but I would only recommend it to a person who has the understanding that there's dangers everywhere. And I'm not saying like Colombia is super, super dangerous.
Hmm.
I mean, there's dangers here in the States, probably more dangers here in the States.
Yeah.
The only thing that, I or that we have to be concerned about or think about, and this is just common, is what robbery type of stuff. So if you have your phone out and somebody snatches your phone, that stuff will happen. because phones are valuable. Electronics are valuable in Colombia because it's all imported. So if you have an expensive electronic hanging out of your hand, yeah, it may get snatched. But again, think about what is happening in the United States. Your phone may not be snatched, but other things could be snatched, like your person, like your body. Anything could happen here. So I would recommend, yes, go and experience it for yourself and see how you feel. Don't necessarily judge it by what other people are saying or what even the news is saying, because sometimes the news isn't really accurate. You got to understand that as well. Go check it out for yourself. But it is for a person who loves good weather. So it's the city of eternal spring. So like me, I love the spring. That's my favorite time of year. So if you tell me it's going to be anywhere between 60 and low 80s, that's perfect for me. And sunny, I'm good.
Yeah.
Blue skies, the sun is shining. Now, it does not have a beach or anything like that. It is a mountain town, so it's surrounded by mountains, but it's beautiful because you're really inside of they call it a bowl. And when you look out and around, mountains are just all around you. So it's really a really pretty setting. But a person who is also open-minded, you cannot go with a mindset that you're a U.S. citizen and you get these privileges and this and that. No, you're in Colombia. You have to acclimate to their culture. You have to speak their language and don't get upset about how they do things. So you really do have to be open-minded and patient and go with the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. Patience is golden
Yeah.
here in Colombia. You know, when it comes to like taking care of paperwork and that kind of thing, it's not as fast as the states. You may have to wait a few days to get certain things done, but like you said, the people are very, very nice. One of the things that my mother said when she came to visit me here is that I understand now why you like it, because there's a certain peace about
Hmm.
being here in Colombia that you just don't have back home. I
Yes.
said, yeah, that's absolutely true. Another thing is that when it comes to the food, I think it's a lot healthier. People
Oh,
are a lot more health conscious here. You walk a lot more, right?
yeah.
Did you get your walking in?
I got my walking in, and I noticed how many gyms and workout spaces they
Mhm.
had, whether it was inside a gym or at a park. They are very health conscious. Even on, I think it was Sunday, they shut down several of the streets. And that's when people just got out and rode their bikes. They went
Mhm.
walking, they were rollerblading, like just getting any form of exercise in. They were getting it in, and it was crowded. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that, because those are things we need. We need to have good, fresh food. We need to be exercising. We need to be doing those things to stay healthy. So the fact that that's a part of the culture is already built in, that just is a plus. Now, one other thing I learned though, I learned about the pleasantries. You have to be very pleasant and it's very relationship oriented. And that is
Yes.
going to be a struggle for me because I'm a person who likes to get straight to the point. Like, hey, blah, 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 blah. This is what I need. Here you go. But I had to learn that there you have to really say, hey, how are you doing? How's your family doing? What's it really lead into, okay, well, this is what I need, or this is what I want.
Mhm.
Before you start asking, you really have to build that rapport. So yeah, that's something we're gonna have to work on.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a completely different culture. And
Yes.
one that I appreciate. I really, really appreciate living and working here. It's a great lifestyle. So
Mhm.
on that note, we're going to take another word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Okay. Are you a woman struggling with hair loss, feeling unattractive and insecure? At Limitless Mindset Coaching, we understand the emotional toll that hair loss can take. In just 90 days, we help you transform from feeling lost and embarrassed to radiating with confidence and joy. Imagine building your self esteem, discovering the perfect camouflage technique to cover up your hair loss, and receiving tips and tricks that can help you with your hair loss and embrace the new you while connecting with a supportive community of women just like you. Say goodbye to those negative emotions and hello to a positive mindset. Picture vibrant new relationships, walking through the room with your head held high, participating in social events and activities again, and living a life filled with happiness. Are you ready to take that first step? Well, visit www.limitlessmindsetcoach.com or click the link in the description today and let's embark on this empowering journey together.
Yes, I got to tell you, you did a wonderful job on that commercial.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one other thing about the experience in Medellin and considering moving from St. Louis to Medellin, what are your kids' opinion about that, and how do they feel about
Well, so the kids, we have positioned it as a vacation. We have not really told them that we're moving. We just said we're going for the summer, and they're okay with that because we've done extensive trips before. We went to Panama for some time to kind of explore and check it out. So they're used to it. They're ready to roll. Even when I went to Medellin a couple weeks ago or last month, they were like, "Why aren't we going?" Right? So they're
it?
ready to go. But we haven't told them because, kids, they talk, and we aren't ready to share that information with the entire family
Mm,
because, people have their opinions and ideas and this and that. So we're just kind of keeping it quiet a little bit. Only a few people know. But yeah, that's how we positioned it. They do know that they have to learn Spanish, so they're taking their Spanish lessons and they're doing that online. They know I'm just kind of saying, hey, you got to be prepared to play with the kids and talk to the other kids in Spanish and those types of things. So they're excited. They know where we're going. They know we have to get packed up. So they're just kind of like, when are we getting on the flight?
okay, that's cool. So, what grades are they in?
Okay, so I have a 8-year-old who's in second grade. So he'll be going to third grade and when he starts school in Columbia. And then I have a 5-year-old who will be going into kindergarten in Columbia. So now it's just about finding a school for them and trying to figure out that piece because it's a wait list at a lot of these different schools. So we kind of have to start early,
Yeah.
but I do have a backup plan. If we can't find a school immediately, then they'll just have to do online schooling until we can get them into the best school that we see fit.
Okay. So, the kids are fairly young. I mean, this is a great time for them to have that kind of experience. And I think that, kids that are young, they pick up a second language really, really easily.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I've been told that. So that's why I'm like, I'm not really worried about them so much. I want to make sure they do have kids to play with. Even when they're not in school. So I think that's probably going to be the next focus, just making sure they're in activities so they can pick up the language, can make some friends, and do those things. I'm probably more worried about myself with the language.
Okay, so I gotta ask you. I know that you were taking a Spanish course before. Did you continue it, or will you try something else?
Well, no, I have not continued that particular Spanish class. I do have a contact information for a person who is actually in Medellin who has I think she does Spanish tutoring. So
Okay.
I am going to hire her and get her services. Just because I feel like it's important, but because of the dialect. When you're in different parts of the United States, we have different dialects, right? So same as Colombia.
Mhm.
Just because you speak Spanish doesn't mean you speak the same type of Spanish in Mexico versus Colombia, or
Right.
even Medellin versus Cartagena. Like so. I really want to learn from a person who is there, who can teach me the proper words and the proper sayings. And I'm going to do that. But I think it's going to have to wait until after we move because I have so many moving parts just to leave that I really don't have time to sit down and do the lessons. So I'm
Mhm.
going to wait till we get there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And again, I think Colombia is one of the best places to learn Spanish. And like you said, in Mexico, or even if you go to Spain or another
Mhm.
country, it's a completely different Spanish.
Right.
Yeah, different vocabulary words, different expressions, and everything. But I think here in Colombia, it's a lot easier to understand.
Yeah, I've been told that. I've been told that they speak slower in
Yeah,
Colombia than other Spanish speaking countries. So that's a plus for me.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Kelly, how can people find you?
Well, you can always connect with me through my website. So that is limitlessmindsetcoach.com. From there, you can access my social media platforms, the podcast. You can learn more about me. If you need to book a call with me just to understand the services I provide, all of the information is on my website. I think the only thing that may not be on my website is information about being on the show, and that's something a little bit different, but everything else is going to be on the website.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us real quick about your TV show that's coming.
Oh yeah, so I am producing a TV show now. Originally, the thought was to have the show around women's hair loss, but I did not want to pigeonhole myself, because in additional seasons, I want to make sure we're able to explore different things related to women's health. So I am now opening it up for any topic around women's health issues.
Mm,
So anything related to that, anything related to resources that women can use, any way they can be supported, as well as having women come on the show and share their real stories. So all of those things are very, very important. And the purpose of the show is really to provide information, education, and uplift women, and know that there are tools and resources out here for you if you're going through any of the things that we're talking about on the show. So yeah, I'm trying to. Well, we have a record date for August,
okay,
but if I have enough people who want to collaborate and be on the show, then it may get pushed up. But right now, the record date is August.
okay, sounds great. I'm excited about it, and I know you are too.
Yes, I am. I am. I never thought that I would be producing a show, but it's a lot of things I never thought I would do, and I've done it. Obviously, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep, yep. Well, listen, again, I'm proud of you. I think what you're doing is wonderful for women, and I look forward to more great things happening for you the rest of this year.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Kelly. Again, shout out to RJ. I will make sure that this episode gets on his podcast channel as well. I'm sure
Okay.
that his audience would love to hear about your experience in Medellin as well. Yeah, we will be back, ladies and gentlemen, next week on Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Thanks for watching Circle Back to You podcast. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next week.